Hey guys, what's going on? iJustRengar here, and today I wanted to quickly talk about Duskblade and its significance. So, a little while ago, about like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I actually wrote an in-depth Rengar guide. That's on Reddit. I'll have it linked below in the description. But basically, one part of it talked about Duskblade and its significance, and yesterday, somebody asked me about Duskblade and why you should build it first over Warrior, and they were saying, well, my friends are like, no challenger junglers do it, so... Well, okay, a couple challenger junglers do it. But anyways, Duskblade is the strongest item for Assassin and Bruiser Rengar, and that's why you want to rush it first. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons that you rush it over Warrior. So if you think about it, Warrior and Duskblade, if you compare them side by side, you'll see a couple different things. You'll see the Warrior has 60 AD, the Duskblade has 55. So when you compare those two stats together, you can obviously see that Warrior has a very slight advantage, but it's not much. Also, one more thing, the Warrior is going to be a lot cheaper because you already have the machete. So it's going to be about, I would say, like 425 gold cheaper is how much cheaper it is. So you get 5 extra AD, but the Duskblade gives you 18 lethality, which is huge. 18 lethality early game is really, really strong. Basically anything that's lethality early game is strong. That's why armor penetration Rengar used to be super, super, super strong. Because just if you get that early armor pen, the early lethality, it's going to do a lot more damage because armor has diminishing returns. So if they have 30 armor and it gets reduced by 15, then they're going to have 15 armor and they're going to take like 15% damage, versus if they have 100 armor, then they're going to be taking 50% reduced, and then if they go down to 85, they're only going to be taking like 45% reduced, so it's less effective the more armor that they have. So getting lethality earlier is going to be more important, and it's going to help you snowball because you're going to deal a lot more early damage, which in turn you buy more damage items, or more lethality items, which allows you to stay ahead of the armor curve. And so that's why you kind of rush lethality, and then you don't build Warrior until like probably 4th item if you want it, or you just don't build it at all. And that just kind of depends on what you want. Now going into it a little bit more. So when you compare those items side by side, like I was saying, there's the AD. So that's one portion. The AD and lethality is what we just compared. So now let's compare the CDR. So CDR, the exact same, 10%, nothing else to really look at there. There's no other stat involved with CDR that makes it so it's more effective. Moving on, though, we can now see that there is a passive to each one. Now, the Warrior's Smite is going to allow you to take 20% less damage. It's also going to do some true damage to the enemy that you do smite. So, while this looks really, really good on paper, keep in mind, this isn't up all the time. You also have to use your smite to do it. So, let's say you're dueling in the jungle, and there's an enemy and you're fighting next to a camp. You can also smite the camp and get 200 health. So that's like one little like trade-off. In addition to that, if you do smite someone, your smite's not going to be up. So if you win a fight and then you try to go for a dragon or a baron, if your smite's not up, you have to be a little bit careful. So there are some times when it wouldn't even be wise to smite, and sometimes when you want to save it. And so in certain situations, maybe it's not the best idea to use your smite and you don't even use it anyways. But when you compare that to Duskblade, for one, Duskblade doesn't have a summoner slot cooldown. It does have a cooldown on its passive, one of its passives, but it has no cooldown on the other passive. So the passive that has a cooldown is it shows you if the enemy team has a ward in a bush. So if your passive is up and you walk near a bush and it pops, that means that there's a ward in that bush, and you can go and clear that ward. So that's the poppable portion of the passive, the one that actually goes away. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that even if your passive for Duskblade is down, it doesn't really matter because your Duskblade will still tell you if you're seen. So if you walk over a bush and it starts to proc, if your passive is up, then that means that there's someone in that bush. So be really, really careful. But if it's down, then you know that there's most likely a ward in that bush or there is somebody in that bush. So it's just really nice because it gives you that little bit of a cue so you actually know, oh, this is warded. Now, this is really, really, really good early game. And the reason why is because you can go for ganks and know 100% if you're seen or not. There are some times when I see junglers in lower elos waiting for 30 or 45 seconds, which is a huge amount of time early game, considering the early game is only like 10 to 15 minutes long, depending. They're waiting that long, which is wasting up to like a 20th, or even less than that, of like a 15th of their early game, which if you think about it in those terms, losing a whole 15th, that's like going AFK for 45 seconds at the beginning of the game. You're going to be really, really far behind. So you really, really want to know if you're seen or not, and that's why the Duskblade is so strong. Because then you can guarantee, oh, I'm seen, I need to run away, or, oh, I'm fine, I don't need to do anything. So that's just kind of important to note. Make sure that you kind of keep an eye on your passive. Now, this isn't even going into the part where the Duskblade deals a ton of extra damage. So the damage that Warrior versus Duskblade does, if you compare the two, the Warrior does, when you first get it, I think it's like around like 70 true damage when you auto-attack somebody, and then it can probably do up to like 140 total true damage. I'm not 100% sure of that because I haven't built Warrior in a little while, but I'm fairly certain that that's like the early game damage. It deals like around like 100 true damage typically. The Duskblade, on the other hand, deals around 150 physical damage early, which with the lethality is closer to true. It's obviously still not true damage, but normally it comes out to around 100 damage at least, just from the Duskblade, and it keeps scaling up the further that the game goes, which is the same with Warrior, but the Duskblade is just pretty strong because you can use it multiple times in a fight. So you can jump on somebody, run back right away, like EWQ, Empower W, run away, press your R, get out of range of them, boom, your Duskblade's back, and you have the crit strike from your R, jump on them again, and then boom, it's an extra 200 damage from Duskblade alone. So just keep that in mind. So that's why I believe that Duskblade is really, really important and definitely something that you should build. So just to go back over it one more time, the Warrior basically just gives you a decent 1v1. The Duskblade is going to make it so you have more effective ganks. The Duskblade is going to make it so you deal a little bit more damage most of the time. And the Duskblade is going to make it so you know 100% if you're going to get caught because somebody knows where you are, stuff like that. So overall, the Duskblade helps you out quite a bit, and I really think that it's super, super important to always build a Duskblade, and that's why I personally will always build a Duskblade first. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed and that you learned a little bit, and now you start building Duskblade first if you haven't been already. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.